Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again to Queen Amadai TV presents Beyond the Realm. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channels if you have not done so, or to the channel if you have not done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time that I go live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at QueenAShakur, on Instagram also at divine_goddess_27, and on Twitter at dgoddess27, Brighton, and Patreon at QueenAShakur. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. Now, let me say this before I get started. For all of my moderators, I forgot to remind you guys, there's a meeting tomorrow at 12 noon. So I'm going to be sending out the invites for the Zoom call sometime tonight, probably after this meeting. Also, just to let you all know, ScrewTube blocked my video that I did about Lil Nas for copyright infringements. Now, even though I didn't play the audio, I just showed the video with mute on mute. They blocked the video. And not only that, other people have done videos on it and they haven't blocked them. Okay? Pay attention, people. Yes, Misfits, I believe I do have your information. Okay? All right. And so that all being said, people, the hate is real. But that's okay, because I'm going to redo that entire video, and I'm just going to do it without the imagery from Nas. Yes, they're full of shite, sweet people love it. Yes, Millie, you know they're haters, but I'm going to redo the video, and I'm just going to tell some of the satanic things that go on in the music industry, and therefore I won't need to use Nas's video. I'm clearly going to redo it. All right? Because today, or tonight, I have time. Hold on, people. I'm lighting my sage. I'm not taking any chances, okay? With these nefarious spirits, no less. Okay. I'm leaning back because I have the fan on and I don't want it to get blown out. Hope you all have yours lit. Okay? Now let me sit this right here. Hold on. Okay, people. Sorry. Had to get something to put it in. Okay. Okay. I told my mother about how it is so disgusting. Oh, they are petty as hell, Queen. Yes, they are. Haters can't stop the Queen. Okay. Queen, when can you do it here or the other so ScrewTube won't be tripping? Oh, okay. You know what, beloved? I'm just going to do it on the regular channel. And what I'm going to do is I'm just not going to use that imagery. That's all I'm going to do. I mean, and here's the thing. I did the same video on my other channel. Mind you, at the same time, I went live on both channels. They didn't do anything on the other channel. So go figure. Queen, can I be a mod on here? Yes, beloved. Let me write your name down because I do it immediately after this. Judah Queen. Okay. All right. Anybody else who wants to be a mod on this channel, please let me know. And I will do so after the live. I will add you. Okay. The video's still up. No video though. Right. It's blocked. I mean, that was so stupid. Why didn't they just take it down? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I digress. So that all being said, let's get into it, people, because tonight we're going to be talking about the true story behind a haunting in Connecticut for those of you who saw the movie. Queen Candy J says, mod me too, Queen. Okay, beloved. Let me write this down. Okay. Empress, you forgot to remove me as a mod. I'm sorry, beloved. I will do that afterwards. Okay. Okay, got you. Okay, so let's get into it, people. Let's get into it. The real story behind the haunting in Connecticut. Now, The 2009 psychological thriller, The Haunting in Connecticut, tells the story of the Snedeker family, whom in 1986 rented an old house in Southington, Connecticut. Alan and Carmen Snedeker moved in with their daughter and 3 young sons. While exploring their new home, Carmen found strange items in the basement, tools that were used by morticians. Now, the family soon discovered to their horror that their home had once been a funeral parlor. And the eldest son began seeing ghosts and having terrifying visions. The experiences spread to other family members and then repeatedly got worse. Both parents said they were raped and sodomized by demons. One day, as Carmen mopped the kitchen floor, the water suddenly turned blood red and smelled of decayed, rotted flesh. Finally, the family contacted a pair of self-styled demonologists and ghost hunters, none other than Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, if you remember Ed and Lorraine, I've talked to you about them before, because they were the ones who helped the people in the Amityville house, George and Kathy Lutz. And they also helped the women who bought that doll called Annabelle, if you remember. Also, The Conjuring. I did the true story on that. They were also involved in that. So they contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren, who arrived and proclaimed the Snedeker house to be infested with demons. And so it goes on to say the Snedekers have told their story many times, including on national talk shows and on the Discovery Channel TV show. Now, investigator Joe Nickel reports in the May-June issue of Skeptical Inquirer magazine that the Snedekers' landlady found the whole story unbelievable. She noted that nobody before or since had had such strange things happen to them. Apparently, being assaulted and raped by Satan's minions for months at that time wasn't enough to make them break the lease, or for her to allow them to break the lease. Now, the Snedeker story first came to light in the horror novelist Ray Gardner's 1992 book called In a Dark Place, the true story, the story of a true haunting. In an interview in Horror Bond magazine, Gardner discussed how the true story behind The Haunting in Connecticut actually came about. Gardner was hired by Ed and Lorraine Warren to work with the Snedekers and to write the true story of their house from hell. He interviewed all the family members about their experiences one by one and soon realized there was a problem. He said, "I found that the accounts of the individual Snedekers were very strange." He says they also had a hard time coming up with details. Now, he says he went to Ed and Lorraine and he said, "You know what? I may think they're crazy. Just use what works," because it was pretty scary. Now, Gardner, who had accepted the job expecting to hear this story, but not to feel that it was so crazy, he said, "I used what I could, and it was very scary." Though the Snedekers stand by their story, it seems there was little or no proof of the things that they said that were supernatural that occurred in the home. Now, whether the Snedekers actually believed all of the things and all of those things actually happened, they were aware of the Lutz family in the Amityville horror story. And they also knew that those people had profited from the story. Now, soon people came to know how creepy and shadowy the figures that they'd spoken about had been in their home. A boy with a strange writing all over his body had appeared, and a woman screaming when the shower curtain, a woman screaming and a shower curtain supposedly attacking them. Now, they say in 1986, when Carmen and Al Snedeker moved into the small, quaint place in Connecticut, they had the purpose of becoming closer or being closer to the hospital at which their oldest son worked. Or I'm sorry, where their oldest son was being treated. he was being treated for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Having fallen on hard financial times, the family jumped at the chance to rent what seemed to them to be the perfect home. Now, it was large enough for their family, which included 3 children and a cousin, and the rent was in their affordable price range. It was while they were moving in that Al made a startling discovery. Down in the basement in that peculiar room, there was the complete mortician's tools, including embalming tables and other things. Now, as it turned out, the house used to be a funeral home. Moreover, the basement which was sectioned into several rooms, was the only room deemed large enough to serve for the 2 boys, so they used it as a bedroom. Not long after, Carmen said she was experiencing strange phenomena like items disappearing, and her children reportedly seeing strange people in the house, as well as hearing voices and the sounds of birds taking flight. Her eldest son was at the time in the middle of radiation treatments. He began to exhibit radical personality shifts, becoming withdrawn and often getting very angry and hostile. He brooded and began writing poetry with necrophiliac themes. During one intense episode, he attacked his cousin with the intent to rape her. His family had him arrested and taken for an evaluation, where he was pronounced schizophrenic. Now, remember what I told you all about schizophrenia? It has the exact same symptoms as demonic possession. He was removed from the house and seemed to get better until returning. Other phenomena, and that's another thing. They said he was removed from the house and he seemed to get better until he returned. Now, if he had schizophrenia, in my opinion, because I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice, but in my opinion, if he actually had schizophrenia, leaving the house surely wouldn't have made it better. He would still have schizophrenia, right? And still be acting likely the same way. Now, if his situation was, or his behavior was exasperated, right, when he returned to the home, then more likely, in my opinion, it would have to be demons. Yes, their eyes are hollow and you can see the demon rise. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, other phenomena that was reported by the Snedekers included the repeated and brutal rape of both Carmen and her niece, as well as acts of sodomy being performed on her husband by unseen forces. Mop water was reportedly turned blood red, had the sense of rotting flesh and decay. That was all throughout the house, that terrible pungent smell of rotted flesh. She was also frightened by apparitions that she saw, one with long dark hair and black eyes, and the other with white hair and eyes, and it was wearing a pinstripe tuxedo. It was then that Carmen decided to contact controversial paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, along with John Zaffis and a few investigators, the Warrens moved into the house for several weeks until they experienced everything the Snedekers claimed. During their time in the house, they claimed to have seen firsthand the damage the demons in the home could inflict, with many members being slapped, beaten, pushed, and even slammed to the floor. Investigation into the history of the house supposedly revealed that one of the undertakers at the funeral home was found guilty of necrophilia. Now, that's very significant because remember, one of the sons, in fact, the oldest son, started writing necrophiliac themed poetry. So that's kind of crazy. Now, which fed fuel to the fire. It got to the point that the Warrens deemed it necessary for a full-scale exorcism to be conducted on the property, after which the house was judged cleared by the Warrens. But with the evil banished from the house, that should have been the end of the story, right? Once they did the exorcism and so-called banished the evil, that should have been the end of the story. But it wasn't. Like another Warren investigation, the infamous Lutz house in Amityville, there have been numerous claims by people who lived in the house both before and after the Snedeker family that there have been evil in, I'm sorry, that they have not seen evil entities in the house. Now, perhaps the most damning evidence that the whole thing may not have actually happened came from horror novelist Ray Garden, who said that he didn't believe it. Now, when he went to Ed and Warren with the problem, Garden wrote in a post dated April the 27th of 1999, and he said that the family was crazy and I was shocked. All the people who come to us, they're crazy. You think they're sane. You think sane people would actually come to us? He knew I'd written a lot of horror novels prior to that, so he told me to just don't worry about it. So in the aftermath, they said whether all of the occurrences were true or not, it sure made a hell of a story. The house surely seems like one that would be ripe for a haunting. And whatever did go on in that house, the effects of it are being felt now by the current owners, but not in the form of supernatural things. Today, hordes of photographers, curious gawkers, and paranormal enthusiasts flock to the home with the hopes of getting a glimpse of the famous house from hell. Much like the Lutz house in Amityville, the current owners report no paranormal activity at this time and would really just like to be left in peace. So, with that all being said, let me look at some of these comments. Look at some of these comments. John Zappis is still doing his work. King Dane said, don't worry about it. Right. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to tell you like this. Wow, I don't remember that rape stuff in the movie. Oh, they probably didn't show that in the movie. I don't remember that either because I definitely saw the movie when it first came out years ago. I don't think they showed that. They stayed at that house way too long to experience that. Let me tell you something. Schizophrenia is not having the ability to differentiate fantasy from reality. Absolutely, A.V. the Great. Absolutely. But the symptoms of schizophrenia and demonic possession are the same. The only difference is that people who are demonically possessed, they have an aversion to holy items such as the Bible, a priest, a nun, a crucifix, holy water, things like that. But schizophrenic people don't. They don't have an aversion to it. Okay, so with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast because I'm going to be coming right back, or right black. And when I come back, we're going to be talking about the true story of the Bell Witch. Okay, which is interesting also. And here's the thing. Demon can latch onto people that have evil in them. Yes, they can also latch onto people that have goodness in them too. Because many of people who are church going and religious people also are under demonic attack. And that may be because something that they have done has allowed them to open a portal to themselves. Okay. Thank you, RG3, beloved. So with that all being said, I'm going to tell you like this. Anytime you have these stories, I would have left that house, says Judy Queen. Let me tell you something. I would have left it too. As soon as I was moving my things into the home and I went downstairs and saw that there were mortician's items down there and found that it used to be a funeral parlor, there's no way I would stay there. There is no way I would stay there. Okay? That's what I wouldn't do. So I would have broken the lease immediately. Truth. I knew a schizophrenic. Okay? And here's the thing, people, when you have these true stories or so-called true stories and people saying, you know, what happened to them, their experiences, there's going to always be people who doubt them. Some people don't believe in these things at all. And I find it funny that some people who are supposed to be Christians, they especially don't believe in these things, but clearly it talks about demonic possession in the Bible. So I find that very interesting. But yeah, some people just don't believe it. Hey, Queen, don't forget about the dreams you said you was going to do. I definitely need to share a few weird dreams. Okay, beloved. So now with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast and I'll be coming right back with another episode. Okay, so thanks everyone. And until next time, I'll talk to you all again soon. Peace.